person we know that calls them the Ammonites. Maybe he was the first person to find a fossil of an Ammonite and connect it to Ammon. Maybe it was a tradition that just he mentioned. Anyway, he was the first person to mention it. We're speaking about a shrimp and a snail. It's actually a kind of an octopus, the Ammonite. And there's only one of a kind of a cousin or a family member of the Ammonites that still survives today. It's called the Nautilus. How Jules Verne called his first submarine, somebody knows?
Nautilus.
Exactly, because the idea of a submarine until today uses the same idea like the Ammonites as the Nautiluses uses in order to float and to go up and down in the sea. They can use their arms in order to swim, but in order to go up and down, they had a lot of chambers. And an Ammonite can be very, very small, several centimeters. It can be quite big, but it could be also at the diameter of 2 meters. Some of the species, there were many different species of Ammonite, like there are many species of horses or dogs. Okay, so some of the species were big enough to cover the diameter of 2 meters. But still, every big one needs to start from something small, and he lived in a small chamber. And then when he grew up, he built another chamber, and the last chamber turned to be a floating chamber that he could fill with air or with water, and then can decide if he wants to go up or down. And then he grew up again and moved to the next chamber, and this is how he created the big
spiral
shell. And if it continues and continues, like you saw the entrance of the visitor center, this is about the Ammonite as a creature. About the layer over here, this layer does not belong to the extinction, but it contains a lot of Ammonite still. And why it's so? This layer over here is from about 90,000 years ago, just before
90 million.
90 million, yes, 90 million years ago,
Zero.
just before the anticline started to shift. Back then, the ocean was extremely clear. The water was very, very clear, almost no sediments, also almost no dirt, but the Ammonites celebrated. All of the sea was completely filled with Ammonites, and because of that, the only thing that sank to the ground was Ammonite. It wasn't a destruction. It's like a big city that has a very big graveyard next to it because people live in there and there's a very big population, so you have a big graveyard next to it. So the sea was almost only Ammonites, or at least the big creatures were almost only Ammonites at that time. There's another suggestion, by the way, that says that it's actually not the deep sea, but it's a shallow sea that the Ammonites were driven over after they died, because when the corpse started to melt down or break down, it creates a lot of gas, and then it fills all of the chambers, and it floats towards the shallow area, and then it sinks down there. So maybe it was a shallow area, maybe it was all of the sea, but you can find them not only here at the same layer, but also in Mount Hermon, and also in many other places that this layer is exposed. Eventually also they exposed the 66 million years ago at the end of the Cretaceous. But this is also from the Cretaceous, so it's also back there. So this is about that. What else I wanted to say? I just wanted to mention another plant that I saw over here. Let's see where it is. If we're sitting already. Just a second, I saw it. Wait over here, I'll bring it. Just a second.
Meanwhile,